Opinion. 50 years ago, the 1969 Mets helped heal a nation in turmoil. They will gather together in New York later in June, rehashing stories from 50 years ago, reminiscing about the year they turned the baseball world upside down, becoming perhaps the most beloved team in history. The team that helped revitalize a city in ruins and heal a nation in turmoil, showing the world you can turn the inconceivable to the improbable to the possible to the incredible, in a way only sports can possibly do. It was turbulent times, Vietnam, race riots, New York City barely staying afloat, former Mets outfielder Cleon Jones, who caught the final out of the 1969 World Series, tells USA Today Sports. There was so much hate, but the New York Mets came along just at the right time. Sports.
Raindrop, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park,